Humans have always strived to cross unimaginable barriers, challenging our own growth, all leading towards one goal, a better life. The power of technology is being harnessed to run the cities of the future. For true potential of urbanization, a clear vision of seamless and uninterrupted people flow is much needed. Keeping that in the forefront, we build elevators and escalators for tomorrow. We are KONE. Our vision is to deliver the best people flow experience, and our mission is to improve the flow of urban life. A global leader in the elevator and escalator industry, our India operations are backed by state-of-the-art facilities that stand testimony to our promise of delivering a people flow experience like no other. As a century-old organization, we have a strong track record of bringing some of the best innovations in the industry. We take pride in taking that legacy forward every step of our journey. Sustainability is a source of innovation and a competitive advantage for us. We strive to shape today's and tomorrow's cities for the better. Our world-class factory in Sriperumbudur, Tamil Nadu is South and Southeast Asia's largest elevator manufacturing facility. Armed with latest technology and equipment, our future-ready factory is built for the fast-growing nation. KONE guarantees an unmatched customer experience even before you step into our world. Our experience centers are spread across the country, bringing our products closer to customers by offering real-time touch and feel experience. We offer services and support for every step of your project, from building design to construction. We guarantee stringent quality and safety procedures across all stages of your equipment, right from the delivery at your site till its installation and handover. Our tailored maintenance and modernization services ensure smooth and reliable people flow for years to come. Our new intelligent KONE 24/7 connected services, powered by IBM Watson IoT, helps in predictive maintenance of the equipment, thereby ensuring improved safety, full transparency, and ease of mind. KONE is proud of its highly skilled workforce. We have a strong workforce constituting approximately 60,000 employees across the globe and 5,000 employees in India. They are the backbone of our company, whose ethics and standards are a benchmark in the industry. Our aim is to exceed our customers' expectations. We do this by working together as a diverse and strong team of professionals across the globe. KONE Centennial Foundation supports CSR initiatives in India with focus on education, healthcare, environment, and related infrastructure. Our India Technology and Engineering Center in Pune further strengthens our capabilities in new digital services area. An extension of our Technology Center in Chennai, these centers with stronger research, technological development, and engineering collaboration serves the growing Indian market with more innovative solutions. We are always looking at what's next for our customers. Our solutions are just the beginning of smart, connected, and future-proof cities. Come, walk into the future of people flow with KONE.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of KONE, a very warm welcome to one of its kind, all-exclusive webinar for architects. I am sure you, as well as all your near and dear ones, are safe and healthy. My name is Rajesh Baiwar, and I'm responsible for new equipment business for KONE India and South Asia. It is indeed great honor and privilege for me to be your host today, especially where audience is eminent architects from India and South Asia. I would like to begin today's session by sharing a thought-provoking quote from Frank Lloyd Wright. He was a legendary architect, an interior designer, eminent writer, and an educator. The mother art is architecture. Without an architecture of its own, we do not have a soul for our own civilization. Truly, architects are the only ones who are capable of giving life to the building, which is made of bricks and mortars, and converting it into perfect space where humans make memories. With this fascinating thought, let us get started with our webinar today. The topic for today is future of real estate industry and vertical transportation in the new normal. Here is an agenda for the session on the screen. As you would note, the first session is going to be about future of vertical transportation in the new normal, which will be presented by People Flow Intelligence expert from KONE, Mr. Heikki Rintala. This session will be followed by an interaction session between Dr. Niranjan Hiranandani and our Managing Director, Mr. Amit Gosai, where you will watch them having an engaging discussion on Indian economy and future of real estate. I'm sure you will have many good questions while these sessions are going on. However, I would humbly request you to kindly forward your questions through the URL in the chat box and in the scroller below. We would be more than happy to take as many questions as we can. So now, please allow me to introduce our first speaker of the day, Mr. Heikki Rintala, one of the KONE's finest people flow experts. Heikki helps customers across KONE Asia Pacific to find and execute intelligent and smart people flow solutions for efficient buildings. Past speaker, panelist in Scandinavian Innovation Forum representing KONE, Heikki has valuable insights into several Asian capital cities where he has been living for last 14 years. However, as it is said, taste of pudding is in actually eating it. So Heikki, over to you.
Thank you, Rajesh, for this great introduction. And thank you for the Team India for this opportunity to talk to such a large audience, a knowledgeable audience today. So thank you all for attending this webinar also from my side. It is an honor also to speak among such a well-established person such as Mr. Hiranandani. So without further ado, my name again is Heikki Rintala, and I'm here to speak to you about people flow, a bit of the COVID and its implications, and then finally digitalization. So let's get started with these topics. So here is the table of contents for today's session, and okay, there's a few introduction slides for you all. Then we will talk about people flow a bit in general aspect, and okay, what is really from the practical and pragmatic point of view, what is this now COVID impact to the flow within the buildings. Then we transition to health and well-being solutions that we have at KONE, but this is also generally from the market point of view. And then the third section here will be about future trends. We are focusing on connectivity, ecosystems, partnering, and API services. And finally, we touch a bit of the predictive maintenance side as well, as it was highlighted in the introduction video that you saw. So these are the three main sections for today that I'm presenting you. So we are here from KONE and increasing building value to together with all of you, we make buildings better. As we all know, of course, for many months now, we are living in unprecedented times. There is lots of uncertainty looming large. Everybody is wondering, what is the new normal? Are we going back to the old normal? And how long all of this will last? While some countries, they're already starting to open the borders and allowing the citizens to move more freely. We have other parts in the world that are experiencing the second waves, and so it's really lots of uncertainty around what will happen in the medium and long run. Let's put it like that. How this will affect then our lives and influence the mobility, both in short and the long term, and what can we do about it? And this is especially valid for us who live in the Asian countries, in India, in Southeast Asian countries, because these places are highly populated, and there's a lot more people than in the Western countries. So our environment is totally different. So this is like really a big question for us, all of us, to solve. There has been this decade-long strive for efficiency in the workplace, to make them more efficient, and this is now becoming the source of concern that building owners and tenants need to address. So we have these social distancing measures being taken, and this is like kind of a big deal for all of us. We like to think that this urban density itself, it's not the problem during the pandemic, but what happens as a consequence for the crowding. So this is the concern that we all must address. We have received a lot of inquiries and questions that from the building owners and developers that how many persons can now be allowed to the elevator at the time, giving the physical distancing guidelines that are in place in countries. We also heard how do we do the staggered entries for the timelines for entry and exit. Also, how many persons can we let into the building, and at the same time we keep the lobby areas uncrowded? Or what do we do to show our tenants that we are taking actions to keep the people flow safe and efficient in the building? And finally, how do we reduce touching of services with technology? So how can technology help us doing all these things as well? So these are just a few kind of key questions that I hope we address in this presentation, a little bit shed a light on what is our perspective on this. So firstly, I want to discuss now, like really on the practical and pragmatic terms, how does this social distancing affect elevator and building traffic? We started investigating this and looking at it from the really pragmatic point of view. We started with like checking that what is the average space that a person basically occupies. Really starting measuring the shoulders and really the perimeter that it's around the person. Then we put these people into the box, so basically an elevator cabin, and we did these measurements that what is the true number of people that can fit into specific sizes of elevator cabins, given if there's a specific social distancing or physical distancing guideline in place. So these are quite to many of us, they're quite surprising results. For example, here we used to have this 24-person car cabin with 1,800 kg load. So that actually can now fit 2 people if we are maintaining this 1 meter social distancing guideline. Then we have a little bit different here, different size car cabin, and here we can fit 3 people given the guidelines. So here is like kind of quick summary table that we did for the Indian standard rated loads and the car sizes, and if the guideline here is 1 meter distance per person between people, how many people can we fit there? So these are quite surprising numbers, and of course, understanding this, it will have an impact and the consequence for all the other traffic planning in the building. Of course, something to worthwhile noting is that these physical distancing guidelines are different in the different countries. So in the US, in CDC is 6 feet, whereas in India, Singapore, 1 meter as per World Health Organization recommendation. In Europe, it's even longer in some countries, such as UK, it's 2 meters. Here's a kind of follow-up thinking from like once we understand the lift capacity that, you know, if we keep that in 2, 3, or 4 people, so how does that affect now in the lobby area in that case? On the left, we have a normal scenario where we are having lifts crowded with to the max, basically as per normal. And also we had no so-called staggered arrivals. So lifts are full and there's people in the lift lobbies as well. In the middle, we have restricted the lift, so only 2, 3 people can fit in at one time or one journey. With consequence with this is that then we start having multiple really crowded lobbies, and also this crowdedness will continue outside the building as well, forming queues. So this is something that we of course try to avoid to happen. And then on the picture on the right, so this is the last photo. So here we have restricted the elevator traffic. And we have also implemented these staggered arrivals, meaning that people, when they come to work, so they are arriving in certain intervals. So not everybody arrive at 8 a.m. or 8:30 or 7. So, but we are making it more like these interval timings when people come to work, 15-minute intervals or 30-minute intervals, and then also during lunch hour or leaving work, we kind of practice same like intervals and staggered entry and exiting. So these are kind of like things that we have thought of when we plan the traffic in the building, and really starting from the lift and, you know, what the elevator can do, and then how does that influence the rest of the dynamics in this building. Here's one example that we did for the we are doing several of these case studies throughout globally. Here is a case where elevator lobby management, where, for example, we allow 4 persons at the time to the elevator lobby. It's a smaller lift lobby, but okay, some countries these are like normal. Then what happens when we have entry process that we maintain? In this case, it's 1.5 meter safety distance. So how many people can we fit into queuing in this building at one time? Then we continue this thought by understanding like what is the potential queuing that happens outside the building. What kind of entry process guidelines should we implement in order to kind of make clear how do you behave and move inside once you get into the building. So all this info and data, it gives us kind of interesting insights. For example, the average waiting time after making the elevator call. In this case here, it was 1 minute. Once we understand that, we can also define that how long does it take from outside the building to actually reach this elevator call point. So 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. All of this kind of like really pragmatic calculation allows us to plan the building traffic like that it's not typically planned at that level. We have done this in the past for a couple of years, and now this is having like a lot larger importance these days with all this social distancing and COVID implications that are happening around us. Needless to say that okay, of course, these will also impact the new building designs as well. So elevator capacities, things like that, you know, we really have to rethink those carefully. Here are a few other key considerations for safer people flow. We have divided this into a couple of management measures. So we have this crowding management, crowd reduction measures, and then limiting movement within the building. So these are just kind of thought-provoking ideas and generalizations that we should take into account. Not a comprehensive list, but hopefully it gives some light what we consider when we're doing this analysis. So what, like said, like in the past slide, so for example, limiting this amount of persons allowed in the elevator cars according to guidelines, what does that mean in practice? how do we do in practice this staggering morning arrival, lunch break, exit times, and restricting number of people in the elevator lobbies. Then we have also how do we otherwise reduce the crowd by what happens when the building population is 50% from the normal. Are we expecting that to ramp up back to 100%? If it does, what happens then? Can we implement bi-weekly team allocations? I think a lot of countries are doing that, including KONE. We do that, and then also working from home and these kind of things. So these are the things that we consider like quite carefully these days. And on the right, I just want to, this is like an example photo of the elevator traffic in the, like on the top, this is the normal environment, like in the decades, and you know, how's the elevators been. So in an office building, so we have this typical up peak, traffic peak when people come to work. And okay, then we have two-way traffic in the middle, people are exchanging floors, and then when they go to lunch or leave work, there's a big down peak in the elevator traffic going down. So how do we really flatten these peaks? So that is really the fundamental thought behind this staggering idea. So we have really thought of people flow, not from the vertical point of view only, but like also from horizontal point of view. So we start this thinking already outside the building. And even like if there's a public transportation, we are thinking like, where are people coming from which public transportation, how many of them? Then we think of how do they park? Where is the entrance? How does the lobby management work? And then of course, elevators, escalators, stairs, and all the way to the final destination. So we really think of it holistically. And I think people flow should be thought of from the holistic point of view to really truly to get the best experience in the building. Here we have few touch points, for example, how to avoid touching handles, how do we share information, prevent bottlenecks happening? That's a really big question. How do we, what kind of technologies we have that we don't need to touch the elevator buttons, and how do we ensure the hygienic ride and clean surfaces? So throughout this journey, we have these touch points, and we are trying to address all of these throughout the end user journey. I want to bring up 3 of those solutions that we are basically making the journey smoother and easier and safer to our end user. And one is KONE Elevator Call. Just a quick one slide about this. So this elevator call is a cloud-based solution that basically allows users to call the lift with the use of phones, using the most popular messaging, instant messaging platforms. Purely like 100% touchless, so no need to touch any buttons inside the elevator or in the lobby. So enhanced safety for end users right there. Then social distancing, so you can call the elevator while maintaining the safe distance from the others and avoid this crowding. And also it's user-friendly, personalized experience. So you can use your own phone, and while you're approaching the lift lobby, you can make the elevator call already while walking. So this is really, in a nutshell, KONE Elevator Call. It's a great innovation from us, and these we see are like rapidly increasing throughout. So like different ways of like calling a lift without touching buttons. And we have at KONE, we have many other solutions actually that do this same function basically. Then we have for the escalator side, so mostly shopping malls, of course, and public areas, airports and so forth, where we have escalators. So we have launched this escalator handrail sanitizer. This is handrail sanitizer that is using the ultraviolet light to gradually disinfect the handrails. So this UVC light helps to reduce the reproduction of microorganisms such as bacteria, mold, certain viruses, and so forth. Note, it's not tested for COVID, so this has no COVID implication. There is no such manufacturer that can like do the laboratory test for COVID at this point, so that doesn't exist. So I can anticipate this question from the audience. So you really, in a nutshell, so this is safe, reduce the bacteria from handrail surface, and then visible stickers also to encourage the safe use there. So we really encourage holding the handrail because the safety comes first, and that's really the safety guideline for escalator use. This is inside the escalator, so no impact on the passengers, 100% chemical free, and also it has no impact on the handrail lifetime or energy consumption. So this is kind of great add-on throughout this user journey that I had in the 2 slides back. And then more on this hygienic front, how do we keep the elevator cabins clean and the air is fresh and good? So we have introduced this elevator air purifier on top. So basically, it improves the air quality in the elevator cabin without using any chemicals. So basically, this device is taking air from the shaft, and I think it's 40 times per the elevator is pushing fresh air in an hour time, forcing the old air outside the elevator when the doors open. So it's really effective way to push clean air, filtrated and clean air to the cabin and keep it hygienic that way. This device specifically, so this has five layers filtration process. It has the main layer that removes all the large particles, and then we have this advanced photocatalytic oxidization. It's called basically PCO process that destroys most of the pollutants, and on top of that, it also has the UVC light that does also kill the microorganism the same way as in the handrail sanitizer in the previous slide. So this is one solution that is there as well. There's a lot more on the kind of hygienic frontier. We have also antimicrobial microbial surfaces in the lifts. So this is kind of like a next new thing that is also coming, and basically we are not shortage of things we can do. So that's really from the COVID and keeping our environment hygienic and clean, and a few solutions there. Then now we reach already the third part, which is the trends in momentum, so connectivity and digitalization. There's a march toward greener, sustainable, and more connected urban existence made possible by digitalization, and it has now taken the new urgency. I have a video. This is about 2 minutes, so it will show you how it is.
As technology evolves much faster than buildings, we operate on an open platform, one that welcomes development and change. Our new elevators come with built-in connectivity and application programming interfaces, in short, APIs. They are interfaces that help machines and applications communicate with one another. APIs enable giving commands to the elevator, and the elevator can communicate with a device remotely. For example, you can choose to let users call the elevator through an app with Elevator Call API. The APIs make it possible to integrate our elevators to the wider building ecosystem and any API-enabled products. These can be native KONE solutions, your own custom building applications, or services developed by third parties. some even beyond our imagination. Connectivity opens up the door for smart and tailored services that can improve over time and cater to the future needs of your building.
All right, so this was like really quick introduction on the APAs and basically what we can do with those. Really in short, I want to give you an analog of what this technology means. So basically, we have these API owners, API consumers. We as KONE, so we are giving our basically a plug to third parties and building owners to use. We give a set of data that we are providing to everybody in this through this plug. And then we have this consumer, so third party or building owner. They are then free to plug into our API and develop a meaningful solution that is integrated to our systems. So this is really a standard, secure way of accessing data and or devices, an easy, quick, cost-effective way to enable interactions between digital systems. We think this is really the next big hit. It has huge potential. We are currently putting all the elevators into the cloud, so making them cloud connected. When the elevator is in the cloud, it allows us to do so many things and create ecosystems that we have not imagined before. Like this video mentioned, we have our KONE native solutions here. Customers can do their own building apps, and then we can freely integrate with all the third-party developers as well, creating a large library of what we can do. Here is a quick example of one third-party customer app. So we did not want to have several apps in a building, so we just used one app, and this app is used in this building, including making elevator calls. So really a big benefit for our developer actually. We think of it as ecosystem, so we are creating an ecosystem around us and in the elevator environment. So, for example, this Amazon Alexa, we can make personalized calls through the voice assistant. Call me a lift, Alexa, and Alexa does. We, for example, have the Savioki integration done, so this is a delivery robot in a hotel and hospital, meaning that this robot can now navigate not only horizontally, but also in the lift environments. And imagine, what else other third-party apps you can add here. Like this will be in the next couple of years, these libraries will enlarge. You have a lot more selection, and basically it's really endless the ideas that we have. Then we have some other trends such as proactive maintenance, really improved intelligence there. So it is AI-based predictive maintenance, increased safety, better transparency for most of all. Here is this 24/7 connected service in action. So before we had technical call-outs from the customer, and now we put this preventive checks in place or proactive maintenance. So it has reduced dramatically how many calls we get from our customers. So this is really the power of AI and predictability, what we can do. Here are a few other trends. Like I mentioned, antimicrobial surfaces, we have service robots, air quality, touchless navigation. Sensors are going to be huge in the future, so monitoring the people flow movement and personalized design, all these things are going to be big hits, I believe. And finally, we are really moving from this analog to more digital. We are creating new experiences in the lifts through sound, colors, information. So this all translates to good mood and a great experience in the elevators and in the buildings. So that's basically the last slide from me. I want to say thank you all for this set, and hopefully it was fruitful for you. Thanks.
Thank you, Heikki, for your enlightening session. You have really shown us how smart solution in the vertical transportation industry are going to shape the future of our people flow in the buildings, and how artificial intelligence and digitalization are going to perform a key role in this transformation. So ladies and gentlemen, now here we are at the second most awaited session of the program today. For the second session, our first guest needs no introduction. This eminent personality has been an inspiration to many entrepreneurs in India. Let us welcome Dr. Niranjan Hiranandani, co-founder and managing director of Hiranandani Group.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rajesh. Thank you very much for calling me here today.
Yes, it's truly an honor to have you with us, sir. Let me complete the introduction. I am not done yet, so let me go through. An Indian billionaire entrepreneur who is one of the most influential thought leaders of India today. Dr. Hiranandani is the president of NARDICO, the National Real Estate Development Council. Mr. Hiranandani is also a president of ASSOCHAM, Associated Chamber of Commerce of India. So on behalf of KONE and all us, once again, welcome on board Dr. Hiranandani. It's great for us to have you today.
Thank you.
Let me also introduce Mr. Amit Gosai, Managing Director, KONE India and South Asia, an inspirational leader who has decades of rich experience with various multinationals across the globe. Amit is the chairman of Urban Development and Smart Cities Cluster for CII, Chamber of Commerce, Confederation of Indian Industries. He is also chairman of Finland Chamber of Commerce, India. So ladies and gentlemen, this is really going to be very, very interesting and engaging session. If you have any questions to all the speakers, including Heikki Rintala, please give all your questions into the URL given to you, and we will be happy to come have a dedicated question and answer session. So let us tighten our belts, and Amit, the floor is all yours.
Thank you very much, Rajesh and Heikki, before that for a very informative session. Now it's really an honor for me to have a conversation with Dr. Niranjan Hiranandani. Dr. Niranjan Hiranandani, let me too, on KONE's behalf and particularly on my behalf, thank you for your time. We have over 500 architects, by the way, plus some of the very key real estate people who logged in for the seminar. So I'm expecting that there'll be a lot more people from our industry who are very anxious to listen to you. They've just heard about some great innovations in the vertical transportation industry, and now looking forward to hearing from you and having an interaction. We have Dr. Hiranandani been on many panels together, and I've always noticed that you speak very openly, positively, and many of your predictions do come true. Many of mine haven't, but I've seen that yours for sure will come through. We will try and make this an interactive session, and there may be, or should I say, will be online questions for you at the end of the session. So let me just start from the first question to you, if it is okay. A very general one, and which everyone has their own perspective in, and I'm sure all of us want to have your perspective as well. So could we then have the first question? How do you see the economy in the short, mid, and long term?
Well, it's a billion-dollar question, or maybe a multi-billion-dollar question that you've asked. The question also has another question to it, is are you likely to get a vaccine sooner, or are you going to get a vaccine later? So I think it also depends on that. But let's understand what is happening today in India and in the rest of the world. The first part of it, let's get to the Indian story. We've had a lockdown which has been effective. We have had a lockdown which has mitigated deaths in this country. We have had a lockdown which has opened up in parts, and we have not opened up in parts because India is a large country and it's of varying situations. So the long and short of it is that about 30% of the economy has got back to normal. And second, the best part of it is that the agricultural section has not been affected. So agriculture, which comprises about a huge amount of employment in India, is not affected at all. The peripheral areas of India are not affected to a great extent, but the cities are actually on fire. So the issues are, how soon can we actually get the cities back to normal? On the production side and productivity side, different sectors of the economy are either 0 or 100. I would say 0 because if you are in the hotel business or the restaurant business or in the retail business, many people are functioning at 0. And there are companies that I have talked to through ASSOCHAM connectivity that they have come back to 70%, 80%, 90% normalcy. And of course, there are issues. There is issues of getting labor. There are issues in terms of supply chain management. There are issues in terms of where some of the resourcing of materials are lying in the containment areas of the country. So we are constrained about the supply chain. So what's the situation? We think that there are sectors of the economy which will spring back in the next 60 to 90 days. And the rest will spring back calibrated over a period of probably 6 to 9 months to get back to normal. So for example, let's look at the tourism area, and we think at least 9 months is the time when that can spring back to normalcy. But you have exceptions. Look at Dubai. Dubai has already started off. So there are challenges in terms of it which can be met. And today, a lot of changes are taking place. Heikki Rintala spoke about artificial intelligence and communication through digital, and to be able to use the app for getting the lift down to your place that you wanted it to do, and you don't have to do anything else. By the time you reach there, probably the lift is available for you at the entrance, at the doorstep. And so many changes have taken place in the artificial intelligence segment that I want to share one story with you, which will probably be an interesting one. I look after 14 colleges in Mumbai, which are all classroom addicted. In the last 30, 40, 50 years, nobody did any online work ever. Out of 45,000 students that we have, today, 22,000 are already online. And by the end of this month, or maybe by the 15th of next month, every student will be online in terms of education. Now, this is a quantum leap, which even nobody, not even me, not even anybody could have even dreamt to be true. So a lot of things are happening which we never expected could be done through new ideas and thoughts. So instead of looking at this COVID times as a disaster, many people are smartly doing it as an opportunity in order to make the changes. And this opportunity which we have are not in one field of activity. We see it across the board in many, many fields of activity that it's happening. And India is equally determined in order to look at these changes very, very proactively. My gut feel is that in between 6 and 12 months, you will get the economy back on track. But they could be faster if we have the vaccine. It could be slower if we don't get the vaccine. But the country will be definitely, by Christmas, you will find that most parts of the economy will get back to track.
Thank you. Actually, I think we have a very similar perspective. You said 30%. Somebody asked me yesterday in an interview, I said 40% of the economy is back. And I think you're absolutely right. 6 months, we'll see, because I think it's livelihood, it's economy versus fighting the battle against COVID. And I think we are surely, getting there. I'll ask you a question on the real estate industry a little later. But you're very close to the buyers, and I know you directly talk to the buyers of residential buildings and commercial as well. And for big builders like you, and even the small builders that we're trying to now help to get bigger, what is your take on sentiments of the buyers, and how do you see that shaping up in the near future? Do you see people deferring cars, for example, etc.? So what are the buyers now thinking? What is it that you have spoken to people and you know about?
Amit, you'll be shocked to hear my opinion. the opinion is that the demand for residential housing has gone up tremendously with the idea of work from home. All of them, the husband, wife who are working in the offices, now work from home. Children who used to go to schools and colleges now study from home. They do activities like dance and music from home. They watch the movies from home. So lots and lots of people have suddenly realized that safety and security of a home and a house is huge. Today, companies are asking, how many of you can work from home? So in reality, the demand for the sizes of the house have increased. People who have a 2-bedroom house are looking for a 3-bedroom house. People who have 3-bedroom house are looking for an extra bedroom or an extra room in order to grow into. They suddenly realize that the amenities in the house are not good enough. They need to have more. They need to see that their internet doesn't drop even a single second because somebody or the other is connected with the outside world. Netflix and other streaming, Hotstar brings you music and entertainment to your house. So the demand for the house can only grow. In fact, many people talked about having houses on rent. Suddenly, tenants are not very happy because when they want to bring their parents or their relatives to their home, societies have been objecting to get outside people. But if you had your own home or you had your own house, there would be nobody allowed to take any objection to bring your relatives back home. And this is the kind of a thing. So the home, which has always been a very large social security for the Indians, because you don't have social security like you have in Finland. So obviously the requirements of getting a house during your lifetime of working is much more important. I think the importance of buying a house and a reasonable size house and a good location and a good quality with good amenities within the buildings or in the neighborhood becomes much more important to the people than it was before. Everybody went to work, everybody went to school, everybody went to college, and they really didn't think the home was like a hotel. Oh, well, pardon me, not really a hotel, but you could do with a lot of things not being there because you could go out to do all those things. Today, I think the home is become very important. And I think what you mentioned about amenities, artificial intelligence, connectivity, digital, and using space in the most optimal manner will become extremely important. And the architects will now have to reconsider the amenities that you need to keep in a building, including developers like me, will have to say, are there common spaces within the building that people could move into during the time like COVID, which you have today, in order to provide further facilities for people to live and work from there. Can you imagine? Companies are talking about 50% of their staff to work from home. I mean, if you had asked me this 6 months before COVID, I would have said, you know, this fellow's talking nonsense, throw him out. What kind of ideas is he bringing into the place? Today, it's there. You can't even say, question that. And an architect who needs to consider all these ideas would be the brilliant architect rather than the fool that he would have been 6 months ago. So I think ideas and changes are taking place in the COVID times. And I'm pretty excited to see how the post-COVID world will actually cope up with the new situation. But it's exciting, it's new, and there is a lot of prospect of creating new ideas, new dimensions in architecture, and good facilities like KONE does.
This is a wonderful view. I think it's probably brought delight to a lot of people in the vertical transportation industry and to the hundreds of architects watching you, because we are in the right and safe industry. If the housing demand for all the reasons that you mentioned is going to go up. But one thing I must mention is you're absolutely right. Suddenly, our demand for health and well-being solutions or 24/7 connected services has gone up because people want to be safe. They want things to be monitored from a distance, and they don't want too many maintenance people now coming there. So they want everything to be connected through the cloud. I think That's a very well said, because you would find that once I think the lockdown in many of the cities open up, it just means that there'll be more demand for us to complete the buildings and you to complete the buildings and meet that demand that exists. So brings me to another question, and now on the real estate industry. So with the real estate industry, you think this is the time for consolidation, and will it happen?
Any situation where there is a huge fluctuation in the economy always causes consolidation to take place. So it's not about India, it's not about the world, it's not about big, or it is not about the small. There is going to be consolidation, and there's going to be consolidation for the small ones, but there's going to be consolidation in the big ones. The Supreme Court has appointed me as a director in Unitech to deliver 15,000 apartments which are incomplete. It's the second largest listed real estate company in India. So it's not about big or small or stuff like that. The problems when the industry goes through a crisis or the country goes through an economic crisis, it happened in 2008 when we had the Lehman crisis. But today the crisis is only 1,000 times more severe, but it is also a crisis. So every crisis has two things to do. One, an opportunity. And can you use this opportunity to think of innovation, of making the change, prepare for the post-COVID situation, or you go through a crisis and really collapse because you just hope that the world will change and go back to whatever it was before the COVID times. So it's up to you really to do it. Look at the case of Reliance Industries. It talked about last year of consolidation of its debt, which would take place in 2 years' time, which was by June of 2021. Well, look what happened. They finished the consolidation faster in the COVID times than they did before COVID, and they haven't yet come to the end of COVID, and they don't have to wait till then. It's already a debt-free company. So it's up to you really to see how the opportunity is going to be. Are you going to be hit by the landslide, or are you going to prepare and change for the situation? Change is difficult for anybody to make changes. We all would like the luxury of working the way we did yesterday. We would love to design like we have done in the last 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Why should we change? Nobody wants to change. But if you really understand, change is the only reality that we have to live with. You have brought about so many changes in the KONE elevators. We have had to bring about so many changes in building designs. We have had to change ideas every year. But now the change is more severe because this is the situation. Now, are you ready to make your design changes in terms of the buildings that you are constructing as an architect or as an elevator specialist? Are you willing to make these changes so that the new world that will come post-COVID, you're ready for? Take another example. The Prime Minister has ordered the Housing for All project under the PMAY scheme. They've given additional FSI. Look at the scheme that they are now talking about, rental housing to be done with additional FSI, which means we are going to make taller buildings, but we need cost-effective buildings. We can't make high-cost buildings. So we'll need to see how can we bring the elevator cost down, because we have to bring cost-effectiveness in everything that we really put up. So how can we be more effective in this sector? And you have to look at that aspect of it also. So while technology is extremely important to see that the aspirations of the Indians are met with, because Indians work all over the world, they're connected with the rest of the world, and they're not going to accept that we in India are going to deliver second best. It's not going to happen. Maybe they'll wait 6 months, 12 months to catch up with the rest of the world. But with people hopefully traveling soon, looking at what is available in the rest of the world, people are going to demand further amenities, further quality and other things to be done on one end of the chain. And on the other end of the chain, they will need durable, products which are economical to work. So you're going to see both ends of the chain actually growing very, very fast. So change is inevitable. How soon and how effective can your change be to meet the requirements of the market, whether I'm a developer, whether I'm an architect, whether I'm an elevator supplier or a designer, in terms of the ideas and the technology that we can do and also the effectiveness of maintenance that you talked about and Mr. Heki also mentioned in his presentation.
Right. So you spoke about the residential segment. I'm sure people would also like to know about the commercial segment or the retail. What's your take on the commercial segment now, which is offices, etc., and the retail segment?
So in the case of commercial offices, there is a contraction in terms of certain companies. For example, I think IBM has surrendered 1.1 million square feet in Bangalore alone as one company's contraction in terms of requirements in India. Also, various other companies like TCS have announced that there will be a lot of work from home which will take place in the next couple of years. So there will be a contraction in the demand for commercial real estate in the next couple of years. Retail is in soup because the COVID times has prevented these outlets from being opened, at least in the Mumbai region. They're not allowed to be open. So retail is in, the retail malls are in difficulty, but the street shopping have started to open out. So those things are in a positive. But it's not like that. This is a short-term story. The long-term story for commercial is very different. If the GDP of the country can pick up again, which it can if we sensibly manage the economy in the next 6 months, you'll be surprised. We may be back to 4, 5, 6% GDP growth by June of next year. But if we are not able to manage the economy well and our GDP growth is reduced, then commercial demand will be low. And then it doesn't matter whether A company or B company wants to contract or grow. But if the GDP of India grows back again, which I hope it does, and I do hope that the politicians, the bureaucrats, the Reserve Bank of India will manage these issues very well. And if they do, and we spring back our GDP growth back to 5, 6%, which it was a year and a half back, you'll find that commercial demand will pick up again. So the point is very simple. In the short run, yes, there will be a contraction in the commercial demand, fatal in the case of retail at this present time. But long run, it's fully dependent on the GDP growth of India. I am bullish about the growth of GDP in India over a period of time, but we will have to wait and watch how the effectiveness of the policies of the government actually roll out, how the Make in India comes out, how the Atmanirbhar Bharat really pans out. How does the affordable housing grow? How does the issues in terms of housing for all actually pan out? How does the city's infrastructure really develop? You know, in Mumbai, we are now going to do, in the next 3 years, 300 kilometers of metro will be completed in the next 4 years. We had 190 kilometers of suburban train for the last 50, 60, 70 years. We never added, we added 16 kilometers. In the next 4 years, we'll add 300 kilometers in Mumbai and Mumbai region. Now, we'll get a new airport. We'll have a cross-harbor bridge. We'll have a coastal road. We'll have a Ro-Ro connectivity to Alibag. So if all these things are going to happen, I promise you, Mumbai region will grow. It's not question of that. Now, if the country GDP grows and Mumbai's infrastructure grows, or Delhi or Bangalore, Hyderabad, it doesn't matter whether tier 1, tier 2 cities, all these growth possibilities are there. But it's about how we manage the economy. Thank God about the agriculture sector. Otherwise, that would have been another chaotic situation. We are saved by both by the gods and the rains. So God and the rains save India. And of course, the price of oil has come down. So for the first time, we have a huge surplus of trade and a thing, and we have the highest amount of foreign exchange reserves ever in the history of India. which is more than $600 billion, which are surplus lying in our kitty as a war chest for any situation that we will need to address.
I think the point that you made is very valid. I think commercial segment has come down, but if the Make in India really works very well, then you will have a lot of other companies coming into India, and that might do the trick for commercial as well. I have a couple of questions that I might ask. One is, with all this COVID situation today, and just assuming that the vaccine may not come in the next 6 to 8 months, but economies will open and things will start, how do you think the construction practices will change, and what will be the monitoring mechanism that that we'll follow? Because construction is a very difficult field to really monitor social distancing in a way. Do you think that's possible, and how do you think it will be done? This is a lot of people have asked me that question, and I thought I'll put it to the right person.
Let me say there are 2 parts to this answer. Let me share with you that as far as infrastructure is concerned, roads, highways, every road highway work is on. Of course, they have less number of laborers available today, but sooner or later that will come back. We make now at the national highway level 35 kilometers of new roads every day. May I repeat that? 35 kilometers of national highway per day. It employs a large number of people. As far as the construction industry is concerned, let's take my own company. We had 4,500 labor at the time when we started the situation on the ground at the time of this COVID situation. We are now left with 1,500 workers. So we are on 1/3 position as far as workforce is concerned, and our work is on. So we are fully back to work, and these are all our people on the sites. And shockingly, and I pray to God with folded hands and bended knees, that we have not had one single case of COVID in all the 1,500 construction workers. And we check all of them all the time on a daily basis, sanitize, give them food, look after them, and see that all situations are taken care of. Of course, that situation is a miracle. As far as I'm concerned, I've never dreamt that these things would happen. But the positive story is that we are getting back to work in the construction industry, and we are keeping masks on. We are keeping safe distancing. Of course, that's not completely possible in the construction sites, but we are taking maximum of precautions that we need to do. We are continuously testing the people, and we are getting reports on a daily basis in terms of all these things. And obviously, during such a pandemic time, you have to take extra care, and you have to give confidence to the workers that you will take care of them when they come back. So it's not about, not only about the fact that the pandemic is there, but the secret is not that. The secret is there going to be a demand for the products that you're making in terms of it? I've talked to a couple of manufacturers of cars, for instance, and they said, we don't want to open the factory because there's no demand for my cars. So it's a chicken and egg situation. What comes first? Are you going to get people back to work so that the demand gets created, or are you going to wait for the demand in order to put people back to work? My answer is that you got to get back to work.
Yeah, excellent. Just one question on how do you see the cash position and balance sheets of developers these days? Is it, I think some of them are hit badly, and it will improve with, I think with the conversation that we've had, I think you'll see things coming back, especially on the residential.
So in any pandemic or any recession anywhere in the world, nobody's cash position can be good or great. There are exceptions. The Hindustan Unilever, in terms of those products, some of the pharmaceutical companies are exceptions. All these companies being exceptions to the general rule. Amazon and others who deliver home products right to the house, and all these other companies are doing extremely well. But all the rest of the economy, whether it is construction, real estate, or it is relating to other items of this thing, everybody is in some sort of a crisis in terms of it. So you got to wash your cash, you got to watch the situation, you have to cut your costs in the short run, but you have to prepare when it is going to come back. I mean, every recession gets over one day. Every war gets over someday. Every battle gets over someday. So if you only look at the present cash position, or if you don't take care of the present pause position, then you'll be a dead man and you can die of COVID also. Forget the cash. But if you can manage the COVID today, and if you can manage the cash position today, then you will be ready to live another day. So instead of really saying, the burning situation is so bad, you got to save yourself from the fire today in order to face a better tomorrow. So when Lehman crisis took place, everybody told me that next 10 years is finished, the world is over. In 8 to 12 months, the world had turned around and it was back to normal in about 18 months. Of course, this is a bigger situation in terms of crisis. So take care of your health today, live for tomorrow, save a cash today, live for tomorrow. And if you live for tomorrow, I promise you it's going to be a better world. But change is inevitable.
Absolutely. And my last question, Dr. Hiranandani, is, and this one you've answered for a lot of people. What do you think government should do to revive the real estate, as it's really a big employment generation sector for us and a very important sector? So what is it that the government should do now?
I've given a list of about 40 points, both to the Prime Minister, to the Finance Minister, to the Housing Minister, and now to the RBI Governor, which I'm going to meet on Thursday through a webinar. We have lots of issues. One is on the liquidity side. We have also talked about the one-time rollover for credit because the projects are stuck in terms of the COVID situation. We have said that demand must be triggered by probably waiving GST for the next 6 months. We have asked up a lot of input things which go into construction industry because it's a very heavy after agriculture. It's the second largest employer in India. So we expect that there would be certain benefits that would come into that segment. So we're looking at several items like this to do. We're also asking the state governments to reduce development charges and stamp duty effect that we need to do. Maharashtra has reduced it by 1%. For the affordable housing segment, they have brought it down from 6% to only 1,000 rupees. So some things have been done, not enough, but we are still representing to the government, the Reserve Bank, the banking system, IBA, in order to make the necessary changes to do it. But we have to be resilient to get over this crisis and save ourselves from this fire which is going on. And if we can save yourself for the present fire and the present cash flow situation, you will be there for a better tomorrow and a better country tomorrow. So I'm quite aspirational. We have a great leader in terms of our Prime Minister. So I have no doubt about it that he's a strong man and he will take good decisions in terms of taking our country and leadership forward. But look at the leadership in private sector. Look at Mr. Mukesh Ambani and the leaderships that they have done. I think we all need to learn from companies like that, that even after so many years, you've got to be resilient. You have to be willing to accept change. You're willing to get so many other things happen. And I think if we are ready for all these things, you will see a better tomorrow.
Thank you. You are really aspirational as well as inspirational as always. Let me say that. And thank you for very, very good views. I think some new thoughts you brought in, some positivity in the system. I always thought that real estate, particularly residential, will do well. There are doubts in the mind of the people because things are not happening now. But yes, a lot of buyers are looking for houses that you've seen and that you just talked about. And I think as soon as things open up, we'll see probably a little bit of a hockey stick effect from what you're saying. Thank you very much. With that, let me just hand over back to, thank you so much.
Thank you, Amit. Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you, Heki.
Yeah. You'll have to be there for a while. There are a lot of questions that have come through. So with that, I'll just hand over back to our moderator, Rajesh. Rajesh, can you please take over for a minute from here and then we'll come back to the questions.
Yeah, thank you, Amit. That has been a very insightful session. And specifically, Dr. Hiranandani, very assuring words from you about economy, that the fabric of Indian economy is very strong. and we have definitely a silver lining around the cloud today. But I cannot stop myself from asking one question, sir. Looking into the present condition of the pandemic and the changes of the lifestyle people are getting underway through, like work from home you explained about. What would be your message to the architects of India who are our audience today?
I think there is a, I think there's only one story for every architect that works out, is that most of the time we have not been able to get the pulse of the people and actual needs of the people. We think that because there was always a shortage of housing in India, we made what we thought was good for the people. And what we thought was good for the people is what we thought people would buy. I think that has undergone a change. And I think a lot of understanding that we have to find out what is the actual demand and need of the people. We just talked about, like in a pandemic, the home requirements are different. You need so much spaces in terms of 2 or 3 or 4 people working from a house on the digital side. The society is requiring certain spaces in order to see that all the amenities are given to the house people. I think the inputs we must collect and corroborate and say, what is it that we need to work for the future? If we can spend some time in collating all these ideas, when we get back to put the design pen on paper or getting onto the computer to make the new designs, we need to incorporate all these changes and demands of the people. And I think if we do that, the architectural space will change because we will be fulfilling needs of the people much more imperatively to do it. India has a great opportunity, and if we can actually mesh the needs of the people to that opportunity, I think architectural will be. Number 2, I think we have really made many boxes of apartments that we have created. I think we need to go back and say, let's create some kind of a design thought which will flow into the cities, which will remain our heritage that we need to create. So every architect can put in a wee bit more in order to create some sort of design incorporation in order to make it more attractive and beautiful. So like a lift, a KONE lift will look beautiful. It has to be very efficient in operation, but it also needs to look good. So you can't say I have a very efficient lift, but it looks like a mechanical box. It can't be like that. So similarly, in an architectural building, please don't make it look like a box. You need to continue to make it look beautiful from outside. And that is very important to understand, because let me tell you one point. One day when I was introduced, 20 years ago, I went to an architectural college, 15 years ago. And I was told by somebody, and I was introduced, like you introduced me, Rajesh, today. The introduction was a young girl who was studying architecture, maybe in the first year, second year. And she said something which I still remember. And I remember this story, and I want to share it with all the architects today. She said, Niranjan Hiranandani created his story, history, which is his story. But he does not only create history, but he created geography of Powai. Now, every architect can do that, because you can create a geography of a place which will remain forever, far beyond your lives and anybody else's life. And I think that should be an inspiration for every architect, whether he does a small job or a big job or an interior job or any job that they want to do. I think there should be an aspiration to add that little bit of not only creating history, but also geography that they leave behind for the cities, and the country. I think it makes a world of a difference. We still talk about architecturally beautiful buildings. And a VT of Mumbai, for example, is remembered after 150 years. it's still so beautiful and it remains forever. So at least try. I know there are constraints in terms of money and the builders may not accept all the beautiful thing, but you can add that little bit is what I feel every architect should try and do and make that little difference, which will make the city beautiful and you will remember for the geography that you created.
Thank you very much, sir, for those inspiring, ending on inspiring note. And now, audience, before we have question and answer session, we will have one engaging poll for you. So can we have a poll, please? So when will building users be ready for smart building and technologies presented today? Now, 1 or 2 years, 2 to 3 years, 3 to 5 years, and 5+ years. Anxiously wait for the results. And do we have results now? So 1 to 2 years, that's the maximum I can see. So many things now quite optimistic, many 27% are very optimistic. So thank you very much for those feedback. Can we have a second question of the poll today? So which of these topics would you like us to cover in our upcoming webinars for your teams? This is multiple choice. Fundamentals of design with elevators and related building codes, traffic planning and people flow calculation for various segments, residential, commercial, and infrastructure, elevator related design aspects for mid to high rise buildings, Internet of Things, digitalization, and other connected technology trends. And last, of course, I hope nobody will choose that. So can we go for voting now? And again, we anxiously await results. Number 20. Okay, so maybe this result will take a little more time. So it's a time for question now. And my first question from our architect team is to Mr. Heki Rintala. Heki, are you ready to answer the question? If you can unmute your mic, please. Heki, can you unmute your mic?
Yes, yeah. All right, I'm here. Should be fully online now.
Thank you very much. So Heki, the question to you is, can you summarize benefits for the buildings that incorporate people flow planning during designs versus those who don't?
I would say that if architects choose, if the elevator companies or KONE, if we are early in the design process to plan the flow together with the architects, so this definitely, from our experience, has reduced the number of iterations, for example, we have in the building design. Design issues, different challenges, so all of that will be reduced when we design together. So we have seen several times that, for example, escalators are placed in a different, like a certain location. When we jump in, we realize that it will create bottlenecks and so forth. So like this, all of this can be avoided, of course. Additionally, I would say, like, from this people flow general point of view, so once we do this design work really well, so it's a congestion is improved or removed in advance. So these issues are basically thought of before they even happen, so we can provide basically expertise with that. So I think those are the kind of like few of the key points. I think there's plenty of them. Was that hopefully comprehensive answer?
Thank you very much. So second question is coming to Dr. Niranjan Hiranandani. So, sir, for the middle class families, which are the very high numbers in India, specifically 2-tier, 3-tier cities, and which usually would have considered buying an apartment. And as we know, as we also see from market from KONE side, and 70% is a residential market. Do you think because of pandemic, there will be postponement of their house buying plan? And how will that impact in terms of segment? Because they will be having challenges in their employment and bonuses. So what are your reflections on that, sir?
Of course, it is going to affect the immediate buying. Nobody will agree to buy if his job is at stake or if his economic situation is bad. He's definitely going to postpone his buying thought. But remember, let's take two other points which I would like everybody to consider. One is that you're getting the best deals ever. I mean, the developers are giving best deals today. You get an option to choose what kind of premises you had. Earlier, you wouldn't be able to get that much choice which was available. Today, the deals are far cheaper than they used to be earlier. And the most important part is that if you get a housing bank loan today, the interest rate is the lowest ever. So it is less than 7% interest rate, which never existed. Mr. Heikki, I know you think it's too high because in Europe and it's 3% and 4%. But in India, this is the lowest it's ever been. So the rate of interest today is low and the EMIs are available for 20 years plus. So I think, and when the interest rates come down, automatically your EMI will come down. So it is beneficial but I understand people may not want to buy immediately if their jobs are at stake and they're not sure about the post-pandemic story. Obviously, they will postpone. But those who need houses can postpone buying, but they can't defer it permanently. At some point of time, they will go in for buying houses. And I think that's a positive story, which you will see in 6 months' time. Many people who are depressed today will come back and spring back into action. And you will see they'll forget this day and time existed ever.
Thank you, sir. We have all noted the date of Christmas, 25th December 2020, for the dawn of Indian economy, as you said during question and answer session with Amit. We have a note of that date. Thank you. So next question is to Managing Director KONE, Amit Gosai. Sir, we saw today a lot of new advanced features today. The first question is how relevant those are for the Indian conditions, because this appears to be very futuristic. And the second corollary to that question is how KONE is going to make impact in India with this kind of technologies. So these two are the questions.
Okay, so thank you, Rajesh, for the question that you got from the architects. India is actually ready to take a lot of solutions that Heikki just presented for all the reasons that Dr. Hiranandani talked about. Health and well-being is a big pull right now. The touchless solution that Heikki mentioned, that you really get a mobile phone to get the elevator down using WhatsApp also. And also you can just put the floor and go, so you don't have to touch any buttons. There is a big pull there, and we're already seeing that we've actually got a lot of orders there. It's a technology which is developed globally with the KONE technology team and India technology team. So we've got a technology center, as you know, in Chennai, with about 1,000 people. And they've worked this virtually at home during the lockdown, getting this technology to the market. The hand sanitizer, which is on the escalator, that's available. The air purifier, that's available. A lot of these solutions which Heikki just talked about is actually now available. The 24/7 connected services, Heikki, that's been there for a while in India. And we've seen that there is now again a big pull, I mentioned it earlier as well, for the customer. So this whole cloud-based IoT technology that Dr. Hiranandani talked about, that's really taken off because of digitalization, especially in these last 3 to 4 months. We've seen the demand really go up as people want predictive maintenance, they want preventive maintenance, they want for the safety to know what's going to happen to the elevator even before it happens so that it's fixed. And that is already there in place. And we've actually received already, Rajesh, a lot of orders, as you know, for it. So it's all there, it's all real, it's right now live, and we're actually started selling these solutions.
Thank you, Amit. And next question again goes back to Mr. Hiranandani. Specifically, this is comparison with European cities and American cities, which is present trend happening there. They are actually town planners are planning polycentric cities, a particular town center having offices, complexes, everything, and it is last mile connectivity is then and there. Nobody has to travel a lot like we have to do. So do you think, what is your vision about India? Do we see such kind of efforts by town planners or designers in the coming time? Or do you see still it is a distant future for us?
We incorporated Hiranandani Gardens Powai 32 years ago. We did Hiranandani Estate 25 years ago. Into exactly what you are suggesting. So India has already done it. If you know the Hindi version of Aage Dukaan Piche Makan, which is the walk to work concept, which comes from the Hindi saying, it's already there and always was. So it's actually bringing back the ideas in terms of a mixed use townships that we have always been propagating for the last 30, 40 years. And have been very successful. The country has put up a large number of these townships subsequent to our creating Powai and then Thane. And we have seen wonderful townships all over the country which have been taken. The only difference being that we have not seen the quality of infrastructure of these townships to be of the high order that we have been able to maintain. And I think that is a bigger challenge. So I don't think the concept is new to India or new to Hiranandani's or new to our developers in India. But yes, I am a little disappointed with the fact that the quality of infrastructure created around these townships are actually not up to international standards. And I think we need to do it. Number two, the Prime Minister has already talked about it in terms of 100 smart cities, which he's funding in terms of doing exactly what you said. Smarter cities, smaller cities, where the distances required to be traveled will be shorter. But Mumbai is going the other way. We are actually creating metro. We are going to create distant places that we need to do because Mumbai is going to continue to grow in terms of it. Delhi has grown exponentially. Bangalore has grown. Pune has grown. Hyderabad has grown tremendously. So we'll see two contradictory stories. One of cities which will grow and blow exponentially as it has happened all over the world. Plus, we'll get smaller townships around these cities or tier 2, tier 3 cities, each one of them being self-sufficient in terms of commercial, residential, mixed use, entertainment, hospitals, schools, colleges, retail. Could be a combination of that and doing, which we did again, as I said, 35 years ago.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that comprehensive answer. And with your experience, you could really get into the root of it. So with that last question, I think I would have loved to continue with all these eminent panelists asking more questions, but there is a time and we have to stop at certain times. It is 6:30 now. I don't want to disappoint my architect friends who have joined with such a high numbers. And I assure you that we'll be conducting many more such a seminar in the coming forward. So at this juncture, Amit, let me hand over to you for entering vote of thanks.
Thank you very much, Rajesh, and for wonderfully steering the whole session. I know there are a lot more questions I could actually see, and I heard that there were a lot more questions, and I'm sure, we'll try and answer them in subsequent sessions, but most of them to Dr. Hiranandani, so we'll take the answers from him. But let me, on behalf of KONE India and the entire team, thank all our guests, our esteemed customers and architects from all across India, and people from real estate, and our own team members as well from KONE who joined. KONE has actually been studying challenges in urban residential environments for a long time and has been innovating and addressing them with new solutions that are functional, efficient, and adaptive. And thanks to you, Heikki, for making an excellent presentation and giving an excellent coverage for smart solutions in the vertical transportation industry. To the question that was asked for me, all this is now available in India as well. But most importantly, on behalf of everyone present today, thank you, Dr. Hiranandani. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
my pleasure. Thank you.
On behalf of everybody who's there, for taking time out from your very busy schedule and for sharing such great insights with us and giving us your perspective on what we call actually today the new normal. I'd also like to finally thank the organizers for organizing the virtual show, perhaps the biggest in our industry so far. I'm sure the webinar was interesting and insightful for everyone, and there will be a lot more key takeaways, I'm sure, and hope we'll be able to answer most of your questions in upcoming seminars that we'll have now. This was the first of its kind, so thank you once again for everybody who's joined, and thank you all and have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.